Welcome to the session, folks. The topic of this session is omni-channel capabilities around kitting, catalogs, that includes virtual catalogs as well as customer orders. My name is Prabhu Padi. I'm a program manager in the retail product team. You probably have seen this many times already. I won't spend much time on it. So I guess you know the drill already. So just keep it to yourself. So as part of this specific session, we're going to actually talk about the different pieces that sort of join together to enable the original vision that we started out with, called omni-channel commerce. And the investments that we have done to enable the omni-channel commerce in the areas of kitting, catalogs, and customer orders. With regard to catalogs, there are a couple of things we'll also cover today. One is, how would you typically manage a commerce-related catalog versus that is available in a specific store versus manage a catalog that is not available in a specific store. So we'll go over all the concepts there. And customer orders, I believe it was already covered yesterday. So I'll briefly touch upon that and make sure, quickly provide a refresher on that as well. So kitting. Kitting basically, you probably already know what kitting is, but I'll basically say it anyways, and that is, it enables the retailers to group, package, and sell individually separate, distinct products, but they can be put together as a related item and sell them, right? Sell the kits. The benefit of kits is it allows the retailers to have a cheaper order fulfillment, because you're dealing with a bundle or a kit which is a collection of products and not individual items. It also helps in cheaper shipping, and what I mean by that is, instead of trying to pay more and put in distinct items into a box, you can actually have customized boxes that sort of matches the kitting definitions. For example, if you are shipping an Xbox One or a laptop with some specific adapters or Bluetooth headset, that sort of helps you to come up with a customized box and at the end get some cheaper shipping out of it. Fewer mistakes. This is kind of a debatable topic, and the reason I'm calling it out as a fewer mistakes, because it's already been pre-packaged and ready to go by the time you come to the point of selling the kit. That's why I called it out as a fewer mistake. I mean, mistakes can still happen while you're packaging the kit, but once it's been done, the likelihood of committing mistakes is quite low. So some of the highlights of kitting in this release, which is we are actually modeling the kit as any other product. And the reason we are doing that is because to make sure all the inventory, the pricing, the discounts, they basically fit into the model that we have today. That's the benefit of modeling kit as a product. As part of the kit configuration, you'll be able to add or basically manage components, and components are nothing but individual products. And for each of the individual products, you will be able to provide different substitutions. For example, I want to substitute a red regular shirt with a blue regular shirt. I think you get the idea. In addition to the component and substitution definition, you'll be able to provide prices for the kits as well as the individual components in the kit. And for the substitutions, you may also want to capture additional charges. For example, if I have a regular exercise equipment and I want to replace that with a fancy exercise equipment, you may want to charge the customer an additional charge, right? So you'll be able to manage all that in AX. And one of the key concepts of omni-channel commerce is we provide this centralized data management in AX, right? So you'll be able to manage all this in AX and push it out to all the channels that we support as part of this release. Once you have configured a kit, now the next step is to find a way to assemble it, and then comes the concept of assembly orders. basically what it does, it actually creates an instruction for the warehouse clerk basically to go and put together this bundle or the kit that was already defined by, let's say, the merchandising manager persona, right? The opposite of assembly order is like, let's say, the retailer put together a few collection of kits, but they're not selling or they were not being sold like as they were anticipating. So what they would like to do is basically disassemble the kit and send the individual products back to inventory. So the assembling and disassembling, the functionalities will be supported in AX. In addition to that, we'll also be allowing on-the-fly disassembly of a kit in a store. And basically what that means is you have the kits sitting on the shelf, they're not selling as fast as the retailers was anticipating. Then the customer walks in and say, I really don't want to buy the kit, but can you sell me this individual product that's in the kit? So you can actually disassemble it on the fly and add the individual product to the cart, and the remaining actually goes back to inventory. The next one is, as part of once we have configured the kit has been assembled, we send all the data down to the stores. Now you need to be able to, you meaning the persona, which is either the store clerk or the store manager, they'll be able to actually look at the kit and its details. That includes if the components have the variants, you'll be able to select, for example, size, color, style, different options. And then also like you'll be able to substitute the components with different substitutions, and I'll actually go over that experience. And we have exposed, we have made that experience available in the modern POS, in the enterprise POS, as well as in the e-commerce experience. Now, simple sale, which is the reason, it's basically you ring up a kit and you make the changes, or basically like whether either you change the variants of the components or you change the substitutions, basically substitute the components with relevant substitutable products and add to sale and continue with your standard checkout process. So from a feature support matrix standpoint, because we have 4 distinct sort of like buckets, one is obviously the back office functionality, the AX side, then we have the enterprise POS, the modern POS, and the e-commerce. And green check basically means we do support it, red cross basically means we don't support it. So we have a receipt parameter that can be configured in AX to basically say, do I want to include the kits and the components of the kit in the receipt or not? Because some retailers would like to print that versus some would not like to print that. The configuration of the receipt to include the kit and component details will be again done in AX. Again, the reason it is in AX again for the centralized management of data, right? Kit configuration, generating the assembly order, assembling of the kit. Now, if you look at disassembling of the kit, that is actually supported in AX, enterprise POS, as well as modern POS for the scenario I just talked about. The details view, that is supported across the board, in like across all the 4 buckets that we have. And selling basically is not supported in AX, but basically it's a kind of a customer focused scenario, so it gets enabled in both the POSs as well as in e-commerce. And the component receipt and like viewing of the printing and the viewing of the component receipts or the receipts that contain kits and components will be visible across all the 3 channels. When I say channel, think of that as the 2 point of sale applications as well as e-commerce. So with that, I'll switch over to the demo. All right. So the first thing that we do is, as part of this extra experience, is go ahead and create a kit. And we have a sample kits, a set of kits already created. So I'll go ahead and create a kit called, just call it Spring Kit. As you can see, we are using a default product dimension group called Retail Kit. And when we generate a kit, basically think of all the permutation combinations that will happen at this point, right, with the components and the substitutions. We will actually end up generating the configurations which are nothing but the variants of any of the product, like size, color, and style. So after I created a product, this is again the standard product creation process, and then the next step is to go ahead and add a few components to the kit. So let me go ahead and edit. Let's go ahead and add a few products, and I'm going to focus on fashion here, because it looks like we have a few fashion people here. So the first one I'll go ahead and select is just pick anything. So as you can see, I do not allow you to basically select the product as is, because it's a master product. So the component has to be a specific variant. I think that makes sense, right? You don't want to physically, when you package it up, there has to be a specific representation of a specific variant of a specific product, right? So we'll go ahead and select a specific variant. Let's say select regular, and let's add one more, maybe jeans, right? So let's pick relaxed jeans, similar size. So at this point, I'll go ahead and add the two products. We actually have a known issue at this point. It should actually fill out the unit of measure based off of the inventory unit of measure, but it's not happening. So I'll go ahead and type it up here. So pieces. Now after I have added the product, the component, now I can actually go ahead and add the substitutions. For example, if depending on who the customer is, they may choose to select something that is not exactly in the kit right now. So for the first one, which one did I pick? Which one is the shirt? Is that right? Yeah. So let me go ahead and select any particular shirt. So it doesn't matter at this point. Oops. So here I can add specific variants, or I can actually add the master. So that when I add the master, basically what that means is the specific component I just added will be substitutable by all the variants that is included in the master. So instead of that, I'll go ahead and select a specific variant, and then say OK. I think we have the same issue here also. Now I'll go ahead and select the second one, and I'll add another substitution to that for the jeans. So fashion, just pick anything, and again I'll go ahead and add the variant. So regular 36, and I'll go ahead and fix the unit of measure. So what I did at this point, I basically, as a merchandising manager, I decided, I made some decisions on what the kit should contain and how I'm going to substitute the components in the kit, right? So I'll go ahead and approve, because I'm happy with what I'm seeing right now. Before I generate assembly order, as part of the requirement in AX, it has to be generated, it has to be released to the legal entity. So I'll go ahead and release that specific kit product to the legal entity. That's the one we just created. So say I'll release, and I'll go ahead and pick up the default company that we are in right now. So one thing I did in the releasing product, if the components or the substitutions have not been released, we notify the user. So the intent behind that is like you don't want the kit to show up, but the components are not there. So what does it even mean from an assembling standpoint? That's why we are doing that check. So after I release, again this is the standard AX requirement. I have to basically go and set a few parameters. You probably already know what they are. The product dimension group, which is meaning the storage dimension group and the tracking dimension group. Basically I'll go ahead and pick up some default values. And the couple of other things is we have to set the item model group purely from inventory posting and from a costing requirement standpoint. And item model group, I'll basically say this is in fashion. The other thing I'm about to do, which is not really needed, but I have to do it to make sure, like again that issue I mentioned about the unit of measure not being set. So I'll go ahead and manually set those here as well. So I go to, there are 3 places I have to set it, under manage inventory, and the next one is under, by the way, the unit of measure setting is not required. By the time we release, this issue will be fixed. So selling as well as purchase. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to basically go back to the kit form and I'm going to say generate assembly order. And what this basically does is creates this instruction which is how many assembly orders, how many kits do you want to assemble, and then basically capture the quantity and in which company and in which warehouse. So I'll go ahead and pick up the demo company and the demo warehouse names. So at this point what happens is we create an assembly order, and the way we get to that is go to kit orders, and you can see like we have generated a set of assembly orders, and this is the one we just generated, right, the spring season kit. Now here you have the option of seeing the on hand inventory, and if you want you can actually for each of these components you can go to on hand and get the cost price and all that for the components in the kit, right. And then basically what we'll do at this point, as you can see the components and substitutions that we have added, we have generated a set of configurations which are nothing but the combinations of possibilities, right, that can be used when you are assembling a kit. So for example, the first one has the two components, and the second one has a component and a substitution, and then second again the next one has another component and another substitution. I think you get the idea, right. So at this point I'll go ahead and assemble a few. So maybe I'll just go ahead and say one from each of the configurations. So when I'm going to hit OK. So what just happened here is we are actually creating Bom Journal entries for each of these configurations. Basically there will be a Bom Journal with 4 lines, right. Those are the ones that show up here. Basically that will have the kit ID, the configuration IDs, and the cost of the components, which can further be used at the time of disassembly. And like again, the opposite of assembly is when you disassemble, we do the similar concept. Basically we create the Bom Journal. In other words, like at this point the quantity of the kit will go up by 5 or 4 units, and the component of the individual the inventory of the individual components will actually come down by 1, right. And if you go to the Bom Journal, it shows you like plus number for the kit itself and negative numbers for the components. The next thing I'm going to show you is for the kit we can actually also set prices. So I go to the spring season kit and I go to configure. At this point I see like the view of the same form has changed because I went to this form from the released product menu item. So here there are 2 possibilities. One is you can specify the component prices individually one by one, or we go ahead and specify the price of the kit. For example, if I just say 100 and it does a distribution, right. The distribution is fairly straightforward. It is the value of the component in the kit, that is the price and the quantity, right. Now for each of the components, as I was saying, you have the option of setting a charge. Like for example, if you want to substitute this particular component, which is the ocean blue regular shirt, with this particular substitution, you may want to charge an extra, let's say $15. So then what happens at this point is the moment I close, we actually behind the scenes go ahead and create trade agreements for each of the configurations that has been updated as part of this form. With that, I'm going to actually switch over the experience to the POS and will show you how you can actually, what does that experience look like for the kit. What I could have, so let me go ahead and bring up a kit. I believe you have already seen the modern POS application. So I'll go straight to the point where we talk about the kit. I'll go ahead and type in the kit ID. This is a kit ID that I actually put together just before this. One thing I did not do, which kind of ran out of time, I did not run the job. So as you can see, the prices are kind of 0 at this point. But if I run the job, the price and the product and price job, you would have seen the price here. So as you can see from the experience, like now I see a kit, and these are the components that are part of the kit. The same product detail view is being used for both regular products as well as kit products. If it is a kit product, the view basically changes and it includes the component information. and for each of the components you have the choice of selecting different variants, or we can actually go ahead and select any alternate product. For example, for the shoe I have defined as an alternate product here. So I'll go ahead and add that to basically replace the component with that specific substitution. I'll go ahead and select some variants for that the substitution I just added, and at this point basically if you look at it, I can actually add to sale, and when you go to the transaction form in the add to sale view, I mean in the transaction view, here you can see what has been included as part of the kit. It's kind of like darkish gray, but as you can see there are 3 lines here that have been included as part of the kit, right? And then from here onwards you can actually go through the standard checkout process, and at this point basically, I mean, as you can see the price was 0 because I didn't run the job, but that is how you basically complete, right? Now we have built the similar functionality even on the ePOS side. So let me give you a quick preview of that as well. As you can see, like the experience is kind of more or less similar. Here we have some additional things like the attribute information that talks about that basically describes the kit, and also the different substitutions that are being included as part of the kit definition, right? Kit configuration definition. Now the change product is nothing but the alternate product concept we saw in the modern POS, and here you can see the charges that have been associated with the individual the substitutable products. So I'll go ahead and cancel. The other thing I want to show here is, as I was saying before, in addition to ringing up kits in POS, you can also disassemble on the fly, right? So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and select the disassembly function. Basically at this point there are a few choices you have. Again, it takes you back to the same experience because it basically we have to specify what are the different components and substitutions that we want to disassemble, right? So I'll go ahead and say OK here. Now at this point there are a couple of choices. One is you specify which specific component that you want to basically add to sale, or you basically say for the rest that you did not want to add to cart, they will be actually sent back to inventory. So I'll go ahead and add, let's say for the first one I'll go ahead and say add. For the second one I'll also go ahead and add, and then from here on I basically go through the standard process. Well, okay, something really went wrong, sorry. So basically the idea is you add to sale and kind of walk through with like how you would typically complete a specific transaction, right? Now we have the exact same functionality being again enabled even in a modern POS. So I go to kit disassembly and I'll go ahead and type in the kit ID. There are 2 ways of doing this. One is if you type in the kit ID, we bring you to this specific form. But if you have the barcode mapped to specific configurations, we will basically directly add the kit to the transaction screen. With that, I'm going to go back to the deck. So there's like so much of information that we have to cover within this the 1 hour 15 minutes that we have. If you are attending the retail conference, we will sort of deep dive into some of these exercises like through hands-on lab documents. So that'll be helpful as well. So the next topic as part of this session is all the enhancements that we have done in the area of catalog. So again the basic intent is the same, which is being able to provide centralized data management to enable omnichannel commerce, right? And one of the things that one of the implementations rather, or the design paradigms that we had adopted as part of the previous release was like assortment and catalogs. there were quite a few there were like lots of questions rather about which one is what. They kind of like definition wise, they kind of come across as like similar things, right? So we have made attempts in this release to provide clarification about those two concepts. So what I mean by that is, assortment will be basically making products available in specific stores for a specific period of time, and we are making catalog as the availability of enrichments for those products that are in those stores for a specific period of time, and basically they'll be available. For example, the retailer wants to prepare for a specific event, like for an upcoming event, right? So you may want to create a catalog, you may want to enrich those, and you may want to create some like specific discounts. So that is where the sort of like the boundary of catalog remains, whereas assortment will continue to control what stays and what doesn't stay in the specific channel for a specific period of time. One of the other things we have done, you probably have seen, if you have already attended the session yesterday about call centers, we do support catalogs now for call centers. And that is in addition to what we have done for e-commerce, the modern POS, and the enterprise POS as well. And as part of the call center functionality, we have enabled the concept of capturing a snapshot. The actual uptake of the snapshot by the call center is kind of still in progress, so I won't necessarily say like that is going to be part of this release, but we are trying our best to sort of like connect those two. And the intent is that the customer calls up with a mail order catalog with an ID that is printed on the back of the catalog and say, I want to buy some specific products from this catalog. So the call center persona should be able to pull the catalog up and say, okay, let me go and see what it looks like. So the way it works today, if you have already attended, is you can actually get to that catalog through the source code. But this basically, the intent of the snapshotting was provide a relatively like a similar look and feel like what the user is kind of looking at, right? The end user. So that was the intent. So even if we cannot get to that in this release, at least you'll be able to get to the specific catalog through source code functionality. Now, in the previous release, we had enabled catalog only for e-commerce. So the intent was as a retailer, you don't expect to have many online channels. I mean, there'll be more than one, but it won't be like unmanageable, right? But now that we have expanded the catalog support functionality to all the brick and mortar stores, now you don't expect the catalog manager to select the individual channels one by one and then add them to the catalog. Instead, you can actually add think of that as like in an intermediate, like a group node, like a business unit. That's what we call in AX, like a mall store. You can add the mall store to the catalog, and we basically ensure behind the scenes the catalog gets published to all the channels that are included in that specific node. The next one is, again, as I was saying, you'll be able to define discounts and various promotions for the catalog. And the way we have done it is basically you define discounts and you basically associate the discount to the catalog through price groups. I believe we have a session later today about pricing and discounts. So it'll be worth attending that session to get a feel for like how the entire pricing discount framework works and how does catalog fit into that. Now, from an applicability standpoint, we'll basically ensure the best price. So you may have multiple catalogs that are active for a specific period of time, and they may have different discounts. Typically it will not happen that way, but there is a possibility that it can happen, right? So in that case, we'll make sure we pick up the best price as far as best price in terms of like from a customer standpoint, and apply that to the product in the transaction. One of the other things we have done, this is something we started out in the previous release, which is bulk editing of basically the attributes or the products in catalog. Now, there were we got a few sort of feedback about how we can enhance those. For example, users were not clear which attributes were required versus not. And the things like if I have an attribute with enum values, like of a text data type, where you can actually specify enums, we were not doing the validation to like make sure like the input that was provided by the user in the Excel actually is one of them. So instead of letting the user make mistakes, then we catch it later. We provide the enum as a drop down, so the likelihood of making mistakes is now low. I mean, actually it's not really there. We are not going to export the standard product properties which we were doing before, and what I mean by that is if I have a variant of a product that says like color is equal to blue, we don't want the user to change that to something else, right? So we are actually sort of filtering that out as well. And the other thing we found out, this actually became a little bit of a pain point. It may not sound that bad, but it was really bad, which was being able to control the min and max value of specific attribute types with like integers or decimals or floats, right? You don't want, like, we were actually getting into a kind of a weird state of the specific product for the specific attribute when we were saving it. So we have addressed that problem by ensuring you cannot make those kinds of mistakes as well. And being able to capture multiple URLs for the video and the image attribute types that we introduced in the last release. So basically you go to the Excel and so I mean one of the things about the AX is, I mean, yes, we want the bulk data management to happen in AX, but again, if you look at the design of AX, it's not exactly I mean, I won't say suited, but it's not exactly is a tool that you like you would use for bulk data management. Like, think of it like you have a navigation category hierarchy on the left, and now you have to click on each and every node and go to each and every product that are associated with the node, and then start updating, right? I mean, by the time you get done, you're already spending a significant amount of time. So just to address that, basically this is the functionality, which is you go to a specific node, or you can go to the root node. Depending on the context where you are in the catalog, we'll actually make sure we select the products using that context, and we'll display everything in Excel, which I'll show you in a minute, and then you can actually go ahead and update those and bulk publish them back to the catalog. The next one is again, like one of the things that we did part of the previous release was to always require catalogs in any store, right, for to function. And what we have done in this release, as because of the stores that we have added as part of our functionality stack, we will not require a catalog will not be a required entity in the store. And what I mean by that is, you can have a navigation hierarchy that you can use actually to browse around, and you can actually assort the products, and you use the navigation hierarchy and assorted products to enrich the products outside of catalog. And I've given a couple of examples. For example, if I'm a fashion apparel company, but I don't have the requirement to bulk manage my products and all my attributes. So this kind of gives you that ability. I can pick up actually a couple of items for branding reasons and actually enrich those outside of catalog, because with catalog there is a bit of a process involved, right? You have and the intent is it's a marketing event for a large collection of products that you're preparing, right? So for 2 products or a few set of products, you may not need to go through that process. So you may want to just come to this specific functionality, which I'll show you in a minute. And the beauty of this functionality is you can actually manage at a higher level in the channel hierarchy and have the child nodes inherit the settings. So you're not necessarily spending time to manage them one by one. And in addition to the node, like a per node management of attributes for products, will also enable bulk editing in Excel as well. So this has been like a significant investment that we have made in this release. We call it as virtual catalog. Basically, the intent is to be able to sell or return products that are not assorted to a specific store. So the scenarios are like let's say I'll paint a small scenario here. Let's say I'm a small auto parts store. I don't necessarily carry the 1976 Volkswagen muffler, right? So, but the customer walks in, and you know the customer is valuable to you. So you don't want to lose the customer, so you can say, okay, now let me check it out. If I carry this product, either in other stores or if I carry it in my like a release product collection. And when I say release product, the release products will be retail categorized. So you're not selling anything that is available as part of your release product set. The second scenario is I know I don't have it here, but I know the other store like about a couple of miles from here that actually carries the specific product. So the intent is to be able to sell products or sell to customers and ensure customer satisfaction, because when I go to a store, if they don't have it there, and I now have to think about it, okay, where do I go, what do I do? This kind of helps you to sort of like mitigate that problem by saying, well, I can help you, either you can go and pick it up from this other store, or I can have the product shipped to an address that you desire. Right? So you can actually enable those powerful functionalities. With this comes the complexity. So I think this was a question that got asked quite a few in the last few months as part of our the preview releases we have been doing, which is, can a single transaction or a single order contain these three kind of like a disparate set of products, which is I carry a product in my store versus I have a product in the other store, and I have products in the release product set. Can I include all of them? And the answer is yes. And from a price discount applicability standpoint, they all will be applied in the current store's context. So that way, you're not coming to a store and buying a product that is available at a cheaper rate across the country somewhere else, right? So you don't want to enable that either. So the customer has to be paying the price in the local store's context. If you have products that are that have been added to if you have products in a transaction that have been added from another store or from the release product set, we will ensure that that specific order becomes a customer order. I mean, think of it, the scenario, right? It's a special order. The customer has to go to another place for a pickup, or the product has to be shipped to a destination address. So we'll ensure that that also happens as part of this. From a support matrix standpoint, again, this is critical to understand. So again, we have three different channels, and when I say channel, that basically the channel basically means the e-commerce, the modern POS, and the enterprise POS. And here the green arrow up means it's supported, and the red down means it's not supported. Searching of all products. Interpret all products as the release products, the retail categorized release products. So we will support the searching in enterprise POS, and we'll enable that in modern POS. For e-commerce, it is not supported. That's because there is not an inherent way of from the SharePoint side to be able to connect back to AX without going through multiple tweaks. Technically it is possible. But this is something we discourage, because typically your SharePoint farm will be somewhere else, somewhere other than where your AX AOS servers will be kind of deployed, right? So, for example, if your SharePoint is outside of the somewhere in the DMZ or in the perimeter network, but if your AX system is somewhere in the CorpNet, you may not want to open a port, because now kind of allowing some incoming traffic for reading and writing, which is not exactly enterprises support or they encourage, right? The next one is browsing of all the products, and what I again mean by all products is the retail categorized release products. Will enable browsing of that in the modern POS, but not in enterprise POS. The reason it's not supported in enterprise POS in this release is purely for scoping reasons. It's the scheduling, right? That's what it came down to. So we had to deprioritize that. The browsing of the store catalogs, that can be done in both modern POS as well as in e-commerce. And when I say store catalog, that means I don't carry it in one store, but I can actually go browse other stores' catalogs. The reason it's not in ePOS, because the concept of browsing is not there in enterprise POS yet. Add to cart, no changes in terms of how you would go about viewing the product details, selecting variants, adding to cart, applicability of prices, discounts, they all remain the same. So it's consistent across the board. Delivery options, again, we don't differentiate. Once it's been added to the cart, we don't necessarily differentiate, should we special handle the products that I don't necessarily carry in my store. Recall order is a functionality that has to support the products that are not assorted to the store, and it is important to understand what I mean by that. And what I mean by that is like typically when we do a recall order, we look up the product details in the local channel database. Whereas if the product is not assorted, you will not be able to find them in the local database. The product information is not available. So basically, in addition to pulling the sales order down, we also get all the product details from AX because we know that the product is not available in the store. Same with return orders. You buy in on one store and you can go and return another store, which is again is quite a powerful concept, right? I mean, when I was buying the product, they made me go to the Seattle downtown to pick it up, but I live in a place which is about 30 miles away from Seattle, so I don't have to go back to Seattle again return. Instead, I can go to my local store and finish my return. That way, I am satisfied and I'll continue to go back to the same store again and again. Cancellation, again supported across the board. The key point here is so the last one is the picking and receiving. And what I mean by that is, if you have a scenario where the customer wants to come back to the same store for pickup, even if the product is available either in the released products or in the other store, you need to be able to do an in-store transfer. That way you can receive the product and keep it ready for the customer to come back and pick it up. And for you to be able to do that, we have extended the picking and receiving functionality to do the product lookup beyond the current store. So again, in the picking receiving, we go back to AX and make sure we pull all the relevant product information down. Now, one of the questions you must already be thinking about is what does it mean to performance, right? There is a performance hit as part of this. So the way we have mitigated, or we have made really like solid attempts to mitigate, is by first time when I do a product lookup, we get only like a small subset of the product info, like the product number, product name, product description, and prices, right? Then when you do a product details, like when you go to product details, that's when we pull down the rest of the info. And also we have enabled some level of caching. That way we are not again like making another round trip. If you're trying to sort of look up that product in the next few seconds or a few minutes, right? So we have also enabled the caching will definitely help with performance as well. But again, with caching comes the other question, which I'm sure you must already be thinking about, is how do we ensure the data is not stale, right? So we have a configurable value that can be used to like maintain, like basically decide how long can you keep the cache. So it's up to like the retailers to decide, because retailers are best equipped to find out how frequently they change product information or price information or discount information for that matter. All right, so I'm going to go switch over to the demo. So I'll go back to AX. So in catalog, like as you see, we have added a couple of buttons on the action pane for the price group and the pricing. So I'll go ahead and pick up an existing catalog. As you can see, this catalog is mapped to this specific price group, and that in turn can have multiple price adjustments or discounts. Right? It gives you the flexibility. That way, you're not necessarily tying straight. Like the other benefit of going through the price groups is that you can actually also map to different trade agreements. So it doesn't have to be just the retail discounts anymore, right? It gives you that flexibility. Now, once you have done the association, the next question is, okay, how do I see the prices of the catalog? I believe in the next session, the next session will actually go in depth in terms of some of the plumbing work behind the functionality that I'm showing you here. So I won't steal the thunder from that show. So I encourage all of you to actually go and attend that other show, the other session as well. So here again, like you see the product number, the product name, what's my base price, what's my price adjustment, any discount information, and what is my active price, which is after I applied the adjustment on the specific on the active base price, on the base price, and what is my finally, what is my active price based off of that, and then how much discount I calculated. So this gives you a view of a specific date, and then you can actually filter it by store, right? Because you may want to publish the catalog to different stores, and they may actually have different sort of like pricing schemes for different stores. The pricing can happen in multiple levels, right? So it's you may want to get a view of the price of the product per store on a specific date. So the next thing I'm going to show you is what I've done in the interest of time. I actually have already created a catalog. This the creation of catalog, adding channels, adding products. These have been there since the previous release. So that's why, in the interest of time, I went ahead and created this catalog. And the reason being, I just want to focus on the enhancements that we have done in the edit in Excel functionality. So mind it, right now I'm connecting to a box that is actually sitting in my office back in Redmond. So the reason I was saying that, because I was thinking it's going to take some time, but I guess it didn't. So if you have a good network connectivity, and the topology is well defined and well configured, this should not be an issue from a perf standpoint. So basically, as you can see here, for some of the attributes, for example here, there are different sizes. Like I can say, do I have different sizes or not? Yes or no. Like if it's a specific fabric, right? Instead of me typing in some fabric that may not make sense, or it is prone to error, right? Because it's already been defined by the merchandising manager in the back office, you basically honor whatever has been defined. You want to make the right selections here. So I mean, again, what I'll do, I'll basically go ahead and select, basically filter out the different sources, and you should already know what a source is, which is whether the attributes came from a channel, or the attributes are required by the destination channel from an user experience standpoint, or they were required by the merchandising manager from a merchandising category standpoint. So I'll go ahead and select the channel where I'm going to actually publish, and as you can see, it brought down the list. So I'll go ahead and select one of my favorite attributes, which is brand. So here at this point, I can actually, now you are kind of taking advantage of the power of Excel. So right, I'll go ahead and say, I'll basically change these, say top brand, and let me go ahead and update the remaining also. You can always do a search and replace as well, but because there are only 4, it's easier for me to just do a quick copy paste. And at this point, I'll go ahead and basically publish the data back. You can actually selectively publish data back to AX, or you can actually do a bulk publishing. The reason I'm not spending time on that, because that's already been there since the previous release. So after you publish, it gives you a status. How long did it take? How many products or how many attributes got impacted? So you get a quick summary of what happened as part of the publishing. Now, if I go back to the catalog, so let's go ahead and pick the attributes, and here I'm going to actually show you the one I just updated, right? Just imagine now the flexibility you have. You don't have to go through these like node by node, product by product. Instead, you went to Excel, took advantage of the Microsoft Excel functionalities, and boom, everything is back in the catalog. The next one is about the scenario where I don't require a catalog, right? Which is, I want to just enrich a couple of products, and without going through this catalog creation, validation, approval, all the process steps that we have built. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're actually needed for specific scenarios like events or promotions. So, like you're preparing yourself for a big event, right? So you really need to have a process in place. But for a small scenario, like I need to be able to enrich a couple of products, I don't need to go through that those intense or process intensive sort of like steps. So I'll go ahead and select any specific store. So I'll go ahead and let's say Boston. This is a new functionality that we have added here in this release. So okay, this is standard AX functionality. So first time for some reason it shows up some like funny characters, but you close and relaunch the form, that goes away. So keep that little tip in mind. So I go to Boston, and if you see, Boston is part of a group called electronics. That is the group where I sell all my electronic products, right? So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and click on electronics, and let's go ahead and add a couple of products to that electronic category, or the electronic group rather. So you know the exercise here. You can add variants or products, which is not the focus, but I'll go ahead and add the products anyways. And then I can go ahead and add some navigation hierarchy that I want to use as part of my experience. Now, what I did here is when I publish these changes will actually show up as part of your point of sale applications. I'll actually show that to you in a minute. So what I do at this point, I'll go to Boston and say, you know what, I don't want to define anything for Boston. So I'll go ahead and say inherit all the settings from the parent node. So I'll go ahead and do that. Then I go to the next one, Burlington as well, and I'll go ahead and say, just go ahead and inherit as well. But maybe I don't care about the remaining, right? So at this point, I'll take you back to the parent node, and let's pick some attribute at this point, right? So we can just say it says lap. Let's say laptop 1, right? So now just imagine, right? I just did it once, and if I go to the other nodes, right? Because of the inheritance model that we have built, it has been inherited by the specific channels. So just imagine, think of it for a second, right? You just did the work once for the node, and if you have a brick and mortar presence as a retailer, that's a common concept, isn't it? So in that case, you just go and do it once, and all the nodes, they will essentially end up getting all the changes down. And when we publish, behind the scenes, we ensure all the changes actually gets replicated down to all the stores that have been affected with these changes, because we use the change tracking mechanism to ensure we're not like sending everything down, rather we'll be sending only the changes. So with that, I'm going to switch over to the point of sale site and show you how does that experience look like. So if you go to the sale, the form basically, you see a button on the navigation bar called products. You select that, it gives you 3 options. Where do you want to browse? Do you want to browse in the current store, or in another store, or you going to go ahead and browse all the products that are in the release product, the retail categorized release products that are in AX. So let's start with the current store. And because I'm in the Houston store, it's actually what it's doing at this point, it's actually pulling down 3 sets of information purely from a demo standpoint. I have a base catalog, then I have a semi-annual catalog, then I have all the products that have been assorted to the store but are not necessarily part of the catalog, right? Think of the catalog as, like one of those promotion scenarios. Then you'll be able to say, connect like, when do I need catalog versus when do I don't need catalog. So let's go ahead and browse the standard catalog. As you can see, like you can do the standard browsing using the Windows app functionality. The concept here is the navigation hierarchy that we defined in AX is actually being used as part of the experience. And by the way, when I say the navigation hierarchy, that is the hierarchy that is included in the catalog. So I'll go ahead and select any product, and again, I won't go through all the details here because I believe this has already been covered yesterday as part of the modern point of sale session. At this point, you have the option of adding to cart, or you can actually go ahead and view the details. So I'll go ahead and select some style, some size, the standard functionalities, and it gives you the details of what's in that product, and basically you follow through the standard functionalities of completing the transaction. So I didn't really want to do this, but because you've already seen it, what I want to show next is this is again is a very powerful concept, right? Think of it like I don't have the product in my store, but I can look it up in another store. So this is my current store that I am in, and we have done the Bing map integration in the modern POS as well. So here you can type in any store that you think that specifically carries that, and you basically go to that store and you browse here. From a data standpoint, we don't have images well defined for the other store's catalog, but again you get the idea, right? You go ahead and again browse through the same, go through the same experience, and at this point either you can go to the product details or you can add to sale, right? And it's the exact same functionality. If I go back to products and I say all products, at this point it actually goes back to the released products in AX. The navigation hierarchy that we use here is nothing but the hierarchy. This is the retail product category hierarchy. So there are 3 different category hierarchies that we have used as part of this experience. So the first one is the catalog, right? Catalog will have its own navigation hierarchy that we use for navigating, basically navigation of the products. The second one, the one I showed you for the other store, it is the navigation hierarchy that has been defined for the other store, right? And the third one is, because released products do not have a concept of navigation hierarchy, we end up using the retail product category hierarchy that have been defined in AX. Again, at this point, you basically go through the same experience. I mean, from an experience standpoint, the user will not be able to differentiate, like, do I need to do something special if I am in a current store versus another store versus all products, right? Now, on the top, if you observe, we actually basically tell you the context that you are in right now, right? The next one I am going to show you is, so let me go back to sale here. Similar to browsing, we can also enable the functionality using search. So what I mean by that is, let's say you don't want to go ahead and browse like multiple catalogs to get to a specific product, right? So instead of that, you can go ahead and say, I'm looking for a product. Let's say, I hope I remember the product ID. Okay, it's here. Right. So this specific product is not assorted to the store. That's why I was not able to find it in the store context, right? But I can say, can you go and search in other stores, right? So when I do a search other store, it gives me the option of searching again locally, which doesn't make sense because I didn't find it. I can go to another store and search for it. Again, when I say other store, go through the same Bing map experience of selecting another store, and it will continue to search. And the third option is all products, which is we basically make a transaction service call back to AX, and again purely for performance reasons. So let me go ahead and select this while it's pulling. Like here at this point, right? It went back to AX as a transaction service call and pulled the basic data down. And what I mean by that is the product number, the product name, and the prices. Now, at this point, if you again from an experience standpoint, I will not go through the same process multiple times. You basically have the ability to see the product details, or you can actually go ahead and add to sale. As part of the retail conference, the experiences that's going to be conducted tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we have hands-on lab exercises that will basically walk us through like how you add, and the entire experience basically will be, you will actually experience that by yourself. And from a EPOS standpoint or from an enterprise POS standpoint, we basically have built something similar. Like if I just type in any, like if I go to the smart search, you have the concept of search in my current store versus again all products. The reason we don't have browsing, because enterprise POS inherently does not support like a good browsing experience. So with that, I'm going to switch back to the deck and spend like couple of minutes. I know we're kind of I've been going a little bit faster given the amount of content I've been covering in the last 1 hour. Basically, the reason I want to call out customer orders again, even if you have already seen it once in the previous modern POS session, is it is kind of critical to tie these back to the virtual catalog scenarios, right? You will be able to create quotations, whether it is a product in your store, another store, it's in the released products. You'll be able to create customer orders. That includes you pay the deposits in the same way that how you would pay deposit for products that are included in the customer order, like the local products. And basically from then on, like everything else flows through the same set of steps. And what I mean by that is whether it is completing the customer order transaction or recalling it or cancelling it or returning it. Again, within returns, you can do a full return or a partial return. We basically support, like from an experience standpoint, the experience will be the same whether the product is available locally or the product has come from another store or from the retail categorized release products. With that, I think I'm going to open it up for any questions. I think you should be using the mics. There are 2 mics on 2 sides, so please use them. So it will be part of the recording as well.
Hey Prabhu, great presentation. Thanks. On the substitutions, the charge, can that be a negative amount?
The charge can be a negative amount, okay. Yeah.
I have a question regarding the kitting. The kit item, will that be the one that is sold, or is it possible to have the sales transaction on the kit included items?
So it's the kit that you'll be selling, but from a it's the kit that you'll be selling.
Yeah, but some companies, they want to have it, the sales transactions on the included items instead from statistics, but that option is not covered.
So when you say like the individual components included in the sales transactions.
Yeah, having the sales statistics on the components instead of the kit item itself.
Right. So the way you can derive that is we do capture the kit ID that is included as part of the sales transaction. And now you can, the data is already there in the data model, so you can actually create a report or a heuristic that basically says how did this component sell a la carte versus being part of the kit.
Okay.
That data is already there. We have not created any report out of the box for that.
Okay.
Excuse me, but what if the kit components has changed? So I had just continuation of the question of this Mr. So like I have the kit, and then it's been selling for like 5 days, and then I replaced one item with the other. Is it going to change the kit ID and it's going to treat it as a new kit?
So yeah,
see what I mean?
That's right. So once a kit has been assembled and sold, we basically lock down the kit configuration. You can switch around the substitutions, but not necessarily the base components.
Yeah. So really, I've just got like kind of a scenario question. Let's say that we've got a kit and it's comprised of item 1, 2, and 3, and let's say that I'm the customer and I'm placing my order and I'm not aware that there's a kit that contains item 1, 2, and 3, but it just so happens I want to buy item 1, 2, and 3. Is there any kind of intelligence behind it that as I add items 1, 2, and 3 to my cart, that the system is going to say this is a kit? You really need to be buying this kit instead because you're going to save X amount of dollars.
So with the current design, we don't have that intelligence, but that is something we are actually working on as we speak.
Okay.
This is you're kind of going after the on the fly recognition of.
Yeah, we need to kind of evaluate the cart, recognize that the customers incorrectly added kit components and they should be adding a kit.
So there are some complexities that are associated with this kind of evaluation, and what I mean by that is, let's say if you're buying 2 copies or 2 units of the same product, but a single unit and some other products constitute a kit, but in the meanwhile you have a separate discount that you have defined for the 2 quantity of the same product.
Yeah.
How would you sort of describe that, right? So there are some obvious complexities that are tied to this scenario, but we are currently looking at how we can enable that. At least we'll give the authority to the sales clerk or the store manager to decide which one stays, which one goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Another question, in the kits, is there any notion of major items and the kind of child items? Like, for example, if the customer is purchasing a flashlight and the batteries, if you run the report, like some BI and the batteries, it would say, oh, a lot of customers buying these batteries are buying flashlights also. But it's not that people are buying flashlights because of batteries, it's vice versa. People buying batteries because of flashlights. That's kind of the problem that we have right now in our ERP, that there is no connection, there is no notion of this is the major item and those are additional items. Do you have any notion of that in your kit functionality?
So kit by definition does not have that concept. But I think if I understood your scenario right, maybe the right solution for that is related products. Right? You can have like a base product called batteries, and you can relate the flashlight to the battery product. You may not need kit for that.
Hi, is kit supported in call center?
Yes.
Okay.
So sorry, let me explain why I said yes, because if you remember, like when I started out, we are modeling the kit as a product, right? So however you will add a product to any transaction, you basically go through the same experience. The part that is kind of interesting in my mind at least is in different aspects that we have, whether it's in e-commerce, enterprise POS, modern POS, and the call center, the level of visibility that we have provided across the board is kind of inconsistent right now. So in some areas you will find more details about the kit than the other areas.
Okay. When you search for a product and you search for it in all stores and you add it to the sale, because it's not in the store because you searched all products, do you create a customer order for it, or?
Yes. I actually was describing that for any products that are not assorted to the current store, meaning either it came from another store or it came from the retail categorized release products, for both of them we ensure it becomes a customer order.
Actually, another question. So on the kits, let's assume that we have a kit of 2 products of 2 different brands, and the flashlight is, I don't know, Surefire, and the batteries is Energizer. So when we create a kit, the kit should have some attributes like what brand is it. So is it gonna get 2 attributes that is both flashlight, like Surefire and Energizer? Is it gonna have like both attributes? Is it gonna be attributed to both brands at the same time?
So the brand of the kit, we don't necessarily roll up the attributes of the components and make them as attributes of the kit. So instead, what we expect is once you have defined the kit, you can actually define attributes on the kit itself. And then you can, this is again one of the functionalities that we have built since the last release, is user definable attributes. You define attributes in whatever ways that make sense to you, associate them to the categories that the product is part of. The product will actually inherit those attributes, and you can either specify global attribute values, the product gets it, or you can override attribute values specific to that product. That is how you will accomplish your scenario.
Is there any way then, because like I'm asking because we were running into issues with kits in our current ERP with the reports like sales by brand. If we add this like we have 2 different brands in one kit, if we attribute the kit to one brand, the sales of some other brand will be counted in the sales of the other brand. Or if we do not do that, some sales are going to get lost.
Sure.
So is there any way how it can be easily fixed on the reporting side?
So again, let me clarify a little bit. So you have 2 disparate brands being included in the kit, right? So it's not fair to tag the kit as any one of the brands, because your sale numbers kind of changes a little bit, right? So instead of that, what you would do is you would create a separate brand for the kit that sort of defines the disparate brands that you have in the kit. and the way you do that is again like use the attribute based framework to define that. We don't necessarily have a built-in functionality to sort of like there is not an intelligent way of deriving the brand, at least in this release.
I got it. Thank you.
Hi, just two quick questions on Kit. First of all, is it possible to return part of the kit? One or two items that the customer may have bought as a kit but want to return just part of it.
Right. So you can return part of the kit as an a la carte product, as an individual product. In this release, purely for scoping, we do not necessarily tie it back to the kit.
Okay.
Yep.
So purely from a price perspective, they may have paid less because it was part of a kit.
Correct.
So does it need to be recalled as a transaction, or how will they?
So either you can return it by receipt, or you do however you want to look up, whether it's a customer by customer or whatever other search mechanisms we have in the transaction form, right? But when you do that, again, we don't necessarily try to, or we have not made attempts to recognize that it's part of the kit. So your point is valid, which is I might have paid less because it was part of the kit. Now how do we handle the return price?
Okay.
Yeah.
The second quick question I have is it possible to do the assembly on the fly? So there is an overhead to, first of all, create the kit and then allocate stock to that kit. Is it possible to do that portion of the process on the fly? Let's say, for example, on the POS, I may not have stock for that kit,
right,
but I have components for that kit.
Right.
And in some cases, we see that the retailers may not necessarily want to create the kit. They may still want to continue selling the components,
right,
but be prepared to sell the kit when the opportunity arises. So is it possible to do that process on the fly?
That work is in progress as we speak. We don't have it right now because it's one of those working builds, but that work is in progress.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I was just going to ask the same question, but I actually had an extension to that, which is it's a two-part question. When you're creating a store order that's supposed to be picked up from another store, do they get some kind of notification on the POS, or do they need to use like a queue or enterprise portal or the AX client? And if there is a notification, does it say you have to go get this kit, or is it the breakout of the items? Because the one scenario that I'm facing is exactly what he said, which is they don't have pre-assembled kits. They get the order, they get a notification, and now they go in, they build the kit, and they put it into the customer's bag ready for pickup.
So there are two questions I think you asked. One is whether we have a notification or not. AX has a built-in notification. We haven't built anything special to notify the store clerk or the warehouse clerk or the store manager. We have not made any special investments on that. But I'd like to understand why the AX notification doesn't work for you. Maybe we can have an offline.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
have it offline.
The second one is when you get the list, the pick list. In the pick list, you'll be able to see the kit and the components that have been included as part of the kit. The customer said, I wanted a green shirt with a yellow cap or red phone, right? You get that information so when you go about doing your picking, you'll be able to view that.
So just one question just on top of that then. On the receipt itself, you'll still be able to use the receipt designer to say, this is your kit and this is the breakout with the cost component for each?
So we'll not show the cost of the component, the sales price, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it still sums it up to the total price for the kit. Each line item shows the savings.
Right.
We can do that on the designer.
I don't know, this is something, do you really want to display the sale price of the individual components in the receipt?
Primarily kind of related to what he said for the return.
Right.
So you know what price it's supposed to be returned at.
I see. In the designer you can.
Okay.
Yeah, in the designer you can. I was not really thinking that someone would want to actually display the price. That's a good point actually.
We've actually had that happen where people buy an expensive item and a cheap item, and then they return the cheap item to get
Wow.
More money back.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. I just had a question regarding serial numbers. Can can you kind of serialize a kit? You know, if it contains lots of maybe expensive items, to give that box a serial number if it's shrink wrapped.
The kit product itself can be serialized,
and what about the serial numbers of the individual items? Can you scan those at the very last stage, you know, when you're about to sell the...
So there are two scenarios there again, right? One is you're at the time of assembling of the kit, you can scan those, or at the time, like in the counter itself, you can actually scan those too.
Okay.
So the second part is I think it is kind of tied to the on the fly assembly scenario as well, right? So that work is currently in progress.
Great. Okay. Thanks.
So would kits that are comprised of like serialized items, do they have to be built kind of one at a time so that we can get the traceability going back? Or if we try to build like 30 kits, we don't know that, you know, kit number 1 contained, you know, this serialized component, and, you know, we won't be able to get the traceability. They have to be done kind of in a one-off scenario.
So when you say one-off, meaning help me with the scenario. So let's say
I build a serialized kit that contains, you know, serialized components.
Right.
So if we're building multiple serialized kits, you know, in one sweep on one, you know, journal, you know, we lose the visibility to see where those serialized components came from. The only way to really model it truly is to do them one at a time. So then you get traceability.
So let me walk through this a little bit. So when you're assembling the kit, you're saying this kit has serialized product number 1, right? You assemble it. Then you do the second, right? Oh, okay. So I think let's take that offline. I've been just reminded that I'm running over time. So
just one question. Can you sell kits through the call center module?
Yes.
And does the pricing also apply from the call center? Retail pricing applies to the call center module?
Again, that's like any other product that you will sell through call center. So
but all products retail pricing applies through the call center?
That is correct.
Okay.
Thank you very much.